Opening up new avenues of spending, such as opening contracts up to competitive bid, trying to keep things local to where we can open it up and get a better deal rather than going with a national contract company might be the effective route. We just need to utilize what we have on campus, use the business college, use all the other colleges to see where we can improve our spending, what we can do, and just leverage our campus because we still are going to have over $1 million, which is a huge sum of money to do a lot of great things.
All right, thank you. This is going to be the last and final question of the presidential debates before moving to closing statements. Dustin, you have a chance to answer this question first. As ASNMSU president, what are some ways you would improve office productivity and a positive work environment?
Office productivity, it's more keeping away from people and micromanaging, but setting certain points that they need to hit. Actually having key performance indicators where they know where they're going, set the clear line, but don't stay on top of it. When you ride people and just micromanage consistently, morale is going to drop exponentially. You actually have to give people the room to work, but show them where they're going rather than just kicking them off a cliff and hoping they know how to fly. Give them the wings, but let them learn how to fly on their own. The way I think you'll address both issues at the same time is actually making a clear vision of where you want to go and where the students want to go, but also not letting people, not staying on top of people to where it's extreme.
All right, thank you. Will, same question. As ASNMSU president, what are some ways you would improve or maintain office productivity and a positive work environment?
Well, with productivity, it starts at a really grassroots level of making sure that you hire people you trust and making sure that those people are on board for the same reasons that you are. Obviously, if there's not a common vision, then there's not going to be a common work ethic. Or if there is, there's definitely going to be some disputes. So that's the first step of that. And then second, I think it comes down to setting the example. If I was always in the office just slacking around the student body president, blasting music from my office and playing ping pong or something like that, it'd probably be really hard to go and tell the people that work for the student government, like, hey, you guys need to take your jobs more seriously. But so there's that. Morale is a completely different thing. I think we should have a ping pong table in the office. I'm just kidding. I think it'd be really cool to see that table in the middle of the ASNMSU office used more. A lot of people sit there, but we're also divided into cubicles. And I think the more community we can create, the more morale we'll have. And as long as we have the right people in the right positions, then good morale will breed good work ethic. And that kind of solves itself.
All right, those conclude the questions for the presidential debate. We'll now move into closing statements, and they'll go in reverse order as the opening remarks. So Dustin, you will go first, and then Will. And we each have 2 minutes for closing statements. So Dustin, we're going to give your 3 closing statements, and again, you have 2 minutes.
I just want to reiterate the 3 big facts why I'm running. Is I have experience with large organizations, and that's budgetary, hiring, firing, management, and making sure that we're actually getting stuff done. I have experience advocating for students locally and in San Diego, and I'd like to continue that. And I also have experience with spending with dollars where I can ensure that your guys' dollars go as far as possible. I'd like to take all 3 of those, combine it with accessibility to where I'm going around, talking to you guys on a monthly basis at least at each one of your councils, sitting on Iowa and talking with you guys. Just getting out, knowing what you guys want, knowing what everyone wants, and making sure that's what ASNMSU is providing. Because if, as a government, you're not providing what people want, what's the point of having a government? My name is Dustin Chavez, I'm running for ASNMSU president.
All right, thank you. Will, you will now have 2 minutes to give your closing statements.
All right. I believe first and foremost that we have to remember that at the end of the day, this student organization exists to aid and benefit students. That being said, the ways that we do that have to change. If we constantly provide the same things, and if we constantly believe, if we believe that where we are at right now is enough, then we can keep doing the same things. But I don't think that that's true. And I don't think that if you ask anybody in exec or senate, that they would say that's true. We're doing a good job, but we can do better. I genuinely believe that students deserve a student in this position. They deserve somebody who is trying their best to learn the names and faces of as many people as possible. Because until you can connect with the person, you're not going to be able to connect with the organization and the cause that's behind it. And I believe that they need a genuine, congenial person in this position to be able to associate with. Of course, I want to get to know the students. I want to represent the students, and I want to be a student for the students because I think that's what they deserve, and I think that's what I have to offer. Creativity, humility, innovation, and hopefully some wisdom. Throw that into one giant pot. And I hope that's an accurate description of me. My name is William Luther Van Order. I'm running for ASNMSU president, and that's all she wrote.
All right, thank you, Justin. Thank you. Okay, so we'll take a quick 5-minute break before we start the vice presidential debate. So we'll start at 2:08.
Awesome. Save the day. I have a charger too. Should I grab it? I think we'll be okay. Yeah, I think you're gonna be fine. Okay, cool. Well, let me know. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I'm just going to say hi to some people.
How's it? Everything working? The sound? No, I'm pretty sure it's what was wrong with my computer? I think you.
Julianne, I'm not gonna say that. Either it's
Are they both recording? That one's live. This one, I'm gonna stop now, but I have it recording. I did just record. Oh, okay.
Do you do anything today?
I don't think so.
I didn't hear you. No?
What's wrong with you?
You better help, a while. But let's see. What kind of things? You know what?
Yeah, no, I didn't. That's a lot of money. But I didn't.
I'm not saying, yes. Wow. Okay. Yeah, no, I was actually already here when I got your text. Yeah, I was like, didn't show up for something. I didn't show the last one, but I think I'll say like this one. I'll check out, so I showed something else, but okay. But I mean, maybe about seat that we live and I'll do stuff there. Yeah.
I think you should say for the 50.
You give me 133%?
Yeah.
I still, okay, wait.
I told
Let me put a situation on that. Within a week. Because right now it's at 33%.
Yeah, actually, I'd be happy to have it.
Wait, I don't have 130%. I think more.
For 150% of what?
I'm not saying it's great on campus. It's at 33%.
I have like a 60.
Yes. I didn't see that.
Bullshit.
So, she had 100%. I should take the whole thing.
Derek is a huge
What?
Derek has like a 60 or something. A lot of people have 60.
Except I have a 60. It's like 0 out of 1, but it's like excused.
Yeah. See, some professors list that they need to go like,
Like partial
most good
credit.
professors.
Everyone should, we should have done vice president. I would probably have to.
And now everybody left.
I thought we were doing this.
We did president first last year, so I just did the same thing as last year, but definitely gonna put that as to do VP first.
It's like a army house.
Hello? Yes? Yeah? Good.
All right, if you'll please take your seats, we're going to get started with the vice presidential portion of our debates. Same rules apply as they did to the presidential candidates. I'll go ahead and run through them quickly just to remind you. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for opening and closing statements, and you'll alternate which candidate goes first for each question. You'll have 1.5 minutes to answer each question. You'll be given a 15-second warning in the form of a cap, and you'll be cut off at 1 minute and 30 seconds. We'll take 2 questions from the audience. If you have questions for the candidates, please write it on a piece of paper and hand it to either myself or Anna. Questions will be asked at random. After all the questions have been answered, each candidate will have 2 minutes for closing statements. Any questions?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's get started. Julianne will start with opening statements. You have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Julianne Lamb, and I am a vice presidential candidate. I am a sophomore here at ASNMSU studying criminal justice with a supplementary major in law and society and a minor in child advocacy studies. And I began my time with ASNMSU as a freshman, as an intern, and I fell in love with ASNMSU so much that I came back for more, and I'm currently a senator for the College of Arts and Sciences. I chose to run for vice president because I realized that not only did I want to be even more involved with ASNMSU, but I still wanted to maintain those ties with Senate because that's what truly stole my heart when I got here to MSU. Thank you.
All right. Katie, you may begin your opening statement. Again, you have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I only came here so I wouldn't get fined, so. No, but in all reality, my name is Katie Deevan. I'm running for ASNMSU Vice President. I am a junior here at MSU studying philosophy and mathematics with a minor in political theory. During my time at MSU, I have been a senator for almost 2 terms now. I've served on multiple committees, including budget, the General Appropriations Act, etc. I have also been the intramural Senate representative. I am currently the faculty Senate representative, and I am the chair of the Community Affairs Committee, which is one of the 3 committees in the Senate. Aside from those things, I am the president of the Sophia Philosophy Club, and I am also the event coordinator for Law and Society Club. So that's all.
All right. Again, each candidate will be asked the same question, and we alternate each question on who's going first. The first question will go to Juliana first. What makes you qualified to be elected vice president?
Obviously, with any position, you want to make sure that you have a qualified candidate. I served as a rover, which is an intern for ASNMSU, which allowed me to get a widespread knowledge of the organization as a whole, as well as serving as a senator for the College of Arts and Sciences. So I have the prior knowledge that's necessary to serve as a successful vice president. I am also involved with other organizations on campus which have improved my leadership skills and improved my ability to serve as vice president.
All right, same question to you, Katie. What makes you qualified to be elected vice president?
Great, yeah, so as I said, I'm on my 2nd term as a senator. I've been serving for almost 1.5 years now in the Senate. Over that time, I've written over 20 bills. I've allocated, I don't know how much to different organizations. And during that time, I have served as a Senate representative for multiple special committees, etc. And I was recently, this past summer, Vice President Whitty decided to make me chair of the Community Affairs Committee. During that time, I have, chaired meetings, which is what the Vice President does. Their main duty is to chair meetings for Senate and to make sure senators are doing their job and are staying accountable. As a chair of the Community Affairs Committee, I've done just this for the past almost year now. I make sure that my senators are coming to meetings prepared, and I also have learned parliamentary procedure extensively for my chairing position. Thank you.
All right. You will be getting this next question first. So, what is the biggest issue you foresee beginning your term as vice president?
So I would say, on the surface, budget. We're all concerned about ASNMSU's budget right now. We're concerned about how much Senate is spending. What I would say that problem boils down to, though, is inconsistency. For the past couple years that I've been a senator, I've seen inconsistencies with what we're willing to fund. I've seen inconsistencies with what we're willing to fund, inconsistencies with senators, only writing bills for certain clubs, etc. I think all these problems boil down to the inconsistency, and we can do a lot with working on Senate's budget just by focusing on that problem. As Vice President, that would be my first priority, is to figure out how we can solve those problems and work on solutions to inadvertently, directly affect the budget as well as Senate accountability.
All right, thank you. There's somebody running around.
I think it messes up when I move. I'm like scared to move right now.
If you need to grab your counter, apparently there is no present.
All right, same question to you, Julianne. What's the biggest issue you foresee beginning your term as vice president?
Obviously, a lot of things can boil down to money and the deficit that we are facing. And obviously, as if elected as vice president, I want to ensure that we're dealing with being fiscally responsible, and that we, as Senate, as the Vice President does sit as the President of the Senate, ensures that the senators are really taking a close look at those bills, and they're making sure that we are having somewhat of a level playing field. Obviously, not every organization is going to come in with a bill necessitating $3,000 or $4,000. One bill may be $162 in spare change versus a bill that requires a lot more money. And so I think we can definitely work towards being more fiscally responsible and also getting our students more involved. As was brought up in the presidential debate, a lot of students don't realize what ASNMSU can do for them. And so by getting the students involved, by having them knowing what we're doing, by having them knowing what we can provide for them, then we know how to best serve them and how to best spend our money.
All right, thank you. There you go. All right. Okay. Julianne will go first on this question. How do you plan to train incoming senators?
Obviously, one of the best things you can do is just learning from those that are already there. But I do think if we had somewhat of a manual, when I first began my time as a senator, it's very scary, and I didn't want to come off as uneducated, and sometimes it's worrisome to ask someone who's been there. So by providing a user manual in regards to how to begin your time as a senator, which questions you need to ask, a quick DIY reference guide to being a senator, that's a major thing that we can provide for our students that are just now getting into Senate, as well as having them work with older senators. Thank you.
All right. Same question to you, Katie. How do you plan to train incoming senators?
Yeah, so actually one of my 3 main initiatives for becoming ASNMSU Vice President is starting a Senate mentorship program. This program would involve for every single college a senior senator who would, for lack of a better metaphor, take freshman senators under their wing. They would actually, give them a solid guide to how to be the best senator they can for their college. This would include a list of clubs and organizations that senator is representing. It would include the bill template so that the senator can, understand how to write bills. And it would also include extensive, meetings with this senior senator to actually write their bills. I've actually started this initiative as a senator this past 2 weeks, or within the past 2 months, I want to say. I worked with a couple freshman senators, as well as one who was running in the election for the College of Business, with actually teaching them how to write their first bills. These senators were elected a semester ago, and I think it's atrocious that they haven't written their first bills till now. I think this would be a great opportunity for senior senators to meet their freshman senators, as well as really introduce the freshman senators to that program, so that we don't have freshman senators who haven't written bills for over a semester in office. That is half the term of a senator, and they should be doing a lot more for their college before that.
All right, thank you. Okay, Katie, we'll be going first on this question. How do you plan to hold Senate fiscally responsible during your term?
Yes, so as Vice President, I have very minimal say on how my Senate would spend their money. That is because this boils down to senators actually introducing bills. If they would like to change how much money that they are spending, I will support my Senate no matter what they do, and I will always try and look at both sides. I think that's important to maintain neutrality no matter what
the issue is for a vice president. We should always maintain that neutrality and try and show senators a different side if they're only seeing one side of an issue. My place as a vice president, though, in regards to fiscal responsibility, includes one of my other initiatives, which would be paperless legislation. If we got our entire bill service process completely online and the bill packets available for all senators and students online, we would not be spending the money we do on paper for every single meeting. This may seem like a minor financial project. However, each bill packet for every single Senate meeting is something like 200 pages at the most, but it's usually about 100 to 50 pages. For each senator, that's 30 senators, including the Senate clerk, including the vice president. We're wasting a lot of money here that could be better spent for student trips or being allocated to a different resource. Aside from that, I'm interested in maintaining Vice President Whitty's priorities on, maintaining fiscal conservancy when it comes to food for Senate, and other suitable options that the Vice President would have an opinion on. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Same question for you, Leanne. How do you plan to hold Senate fiscally responsible during your term?
I think I must be bad luck. One of the things that recently passed through Senate was a bill that reduced funding from 49% to 40%. And I know that that was a major issue with clubs because it's scary to think that 90% of your funding from ASNMSU is going away. But in the long run, that plays a very important part in fiscal conservancy because as the vice president, you can meet with all of your senators at the beginning of the semester and state, I would appreciate if you would look at these bills that are coming through, if you would really buckle down and look at every single number that's coming through, but you don't have the greatest amount of control. Your senators are the ones who are making the final decisions in regards to how much money is being spent per bill. So you can encourage them to be fiscally responsible, you can do your best job, and as Katie mentioned, in all aspects of what the vice president controls, so in terms of the dinners that are served or going paperless, you can do those things, but when it comes down to it, the best you can do is to simply encourage your senators to be as fiscally responsible as they can.
All right, thank you. This question will be to you first, Julianne. Which student organizations do you hope to help first?
That's a difficult question. Honestly, it's those that would come to us first. I am not here to serve any one set group more than the other. Yes, I am involved in a variety of organizations across campus, but I'm unbiased in terms of who receives assistance. I just want to make sure that we are doing our best to serve all student organizations across campus and not giving preference to one being served before the other. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Katie, same question. What student organizations do you hope to help first?
So I'd like to start with what I believe ASNMSU's main position or main objective should be, which is helping students with their education. We are not only the liaison to administration, but we are also the liaison to help students get the very best education they can at MSU. With that in mind, I would say that the student organizations that we should definitely focus on helping are those that involve students' direct education in whatever form that may take. But I believe it's important to stay true to ASNMSU's objective and make sure that we are funding for education. This is why I'm running for vice president. I think what Senate does is very important for this school, and I'm really proud to be a part of it. I would love to represent it at a further level for this reason. I think it's a great help to students with their education, and it makes plenty of trips possible that may not have been possible for students before that. So, I hate to give you a runaround answer, but I think the most important trips are those that directly affect students' life, They affect their education for not only the future in their careers, but as well as their overall experience here at NMSU.
All right, thank you. Katie, you'll be going first on this question. How will you handle criticism directed towards you if you are elected vice president?
Yeah. So as a chair of the Community Affairs Committee, I had a couple of experiences dealing with that this past semester. At first I really didn't take criticism well. I was easily defensible, or got easily defensible in my positions. Over my time, during my time as a chair, I've learned that, when it comes down to it, you're not always going to have the best ideas. And the best thing you can do is try your hardest to listen to others and look at both sides of the equation. I'm a math and philosophy major, so, looking at both sides is really important in both of my studies. I would say that, especially just because I would be the vice president, I would have to take those criticisms easily, and I would have to take them, with a grain of salt or a grain of sand, but at the same time, very heavily. I want to be able to see both sides, and I don't think I'm always going to have the right answer. NMSU has over 13,000 undergraduates alone. ASNMSU makes up less than 1% of that. We're not always going to have the best ideas, but that's why we need students to come to us and tell us what they want to see. I do believe that, listening to others really does get you to the appropriate conclusion, no matter what that may be. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Same question to you, Julianne. How will you handle criticism directed toward you if you are elected vice president?
Honestly, I would have to say, while it's difficult to be criticized for anyone, you have to take it in a positive light, because criticism can be a building block to make you a better leader. Often, if someone is criticizing something, it may not be in a completely negative way. It could simply be that they didn't agree with how you handled the situation, and they felt that you could have handled it in a better way, or they didn't agree with a decision you made in regards to one small factor. So, as a leader, the biggest thing you can do is to take people's criticisms and to think heavily upon them, and to realize where you as a leader can improve yourself to better serve your constituents. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You'll be going first on this next question. What ideas do you have to improve communication between all branches of ASNMSU?
Right now, executive does have meetings that they discuss what's going on within their individual departments, and I think it would be highly effective for ASNMSU as a whole to meet once a month and discuss what's going on, because often there is that disconnect. It's difficult for a senator to be able to explain sometimes what's going on to someone who is in services or vice versa. And so by having all of us meet and discuss any concerns with ASNMSU we have, or any differences we have, or anything that we can do to help each other, I think that would be extremely effective.
All right, thank you. Katie, same questions? Same question. What ideas do you have to improve communication between all branches of ASNMSU?
Yeah, so I'd like to speak about this in twofold parts. One, this past semester, during our search for a proper program to be able to have a build process online, we started using Canvas. I think this has been a great idea for ASNMSU. This gives us, a tangible way to see what executive is doing every single day. We see the chief of staff put up assignments for her directors to be doing, and we see whether they posted them, whether they didn't. This holds a lot more accountability for ASNMSU as a whole organization instead of just by branches, which I think is really important to be able to maintain that relationship with the executive and legislative branch. The second part I'd like to explain for this question is one of my main initiatives for my vice presidency, if I were to be elected, which are roundtable discussions. I would like to invite students from every college, as well as students from the programs on the diversity board, as well as ASNMSU members, faculty senate members, and administration all together to really talk about the issues going on in ASNMSU. I think this would be a great way to hold accountability for the whole organization in general. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Again, we'll be going first on this next question. What is the biggest problem Senate faces as a whole?
Okay. I would say the biggest problem Senate faces as a whole is, again, inconsistency. I'd like to elaborate on this a little bit more as I didn't beforehand. But, you know, we have main bill writers in almost every single college that are writing something like 10 bills every Senate packet. And then we have senators who haven't been able to write bills yet because they haven't gotten those emails or whatever it may be. I think this is a huge mistake for Senate. I think everyone should be pulling their weight for their college and know what's going on in their college so that they can really help their students to the best of their abilities. Each college has senators for a reason, and I think it's great how we've dispersed senators. But I also think that, you know, because they have so many representatives per college, the senators should be pulling their weight for that amount of students. I, as a senator for arts and sciences currently, you know, definitely try to make it a point to go out to organizations that I don't know about or don't know to make sure that they can get the services that we provide just as much as, you know, an organization I'm in or work around would. I think this is important for all colleges to do. And like I said, you know, this leads into budget cuts. It's going to be a very fiscally responsible year. It's going to have to be. And I think working together as senators and making sure there's no inconsistencies on what is getting funded and what isn't getting funded is really important in this time. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Same question to you, Julianne. What is the biggest problem Senate faces as a whole?
Obviously, within any large group of students, we all have our own ideas, and so there will be disagreements within the Senate, and that can be an issue. But overall, the budget is definitely a major concern. I think that we, as Senate, for this upcoming Senate, need to go in there knowing exactly where we stand in terms of budget constraints and knowing that we need to definitely be fiscally responsible. Obviously, one of the things that we can do is monitoring how much we're funding for each bill, and as Katie said, just, you know, being consistent overall.
All right, thank you. Just a reminder, we are taking questions from the audience. So if you have any questions, just write them down on a piece of paper and come submit them up here, and we'll be selecting the 2 questions randomly after our set of prepared questions to the top. Okay, Julianne will be going first on this question. How can you better engage students and organizations in the bill writing process?
In terms of the bill writing process and better engaging students, just getting out there when we go and speak to different organizations. I think sometimes we have one solid focus going in because we don't want to take up too much of their time, but I think it's been great. There was handouts earlier this year that were available in the office. There's a bill flow chart within the office so that students who come in can get a better grasp of how the bill writing process goes. But possibly holding quick seminars for student organizations. They obviously already go through a financial procedures workshop, but just really focusing and getting down to the nitty-gritty on the entire process of a bill would definitely be something we can do.
All right, thank you. Same question to you, Katie. How can you better engage students and organizations in the bill writing process?
Yeah, so as a senator currently, you know, I work with constituents almost every week on writing bills and getting these bills through Senate for students of arts and sciences college. When I write these bills, you know, I make sure to do a couple steps that, you know, I don't think all the senators do, but I think they should. This includes a Senate bill process sheet, which really shows the student, you know, all the weeks in Senate, when committees are meeting, what they will need to get their bill through on those requirements. as well as when Senate is meeting, what first readings means versus second readings. A lot of students don't know this information. So, when senators just shoot an email back at them saying, oh, I wrote your bill, I'll let you know when you need to do anything, it doesn't get students engaged. So how are we supposed to expect them to want to be engaged? I think really making that first initiative step, saying, hey, here's the process. You are more than welcome to come to these committee meetings. We'd really appreciate if you did come and advocate for your bill. Come to Senate. It's going to be at this time. I'll come up to you and let you know, when your bill will be available, etc. I think these are really encouraging things for students that we need to do more often as a Senate body to get students really involved in our Senate process and understanding what comes next.
All right, thank you. Katie, this question goes to you first. What legacy do you wish to leave as Vice President?
I was thinking about this question when you asked the president-elects or president candidates, and I really didn't know what I'd say. So I'm gonna try and think on my feet here. I'm really not interested in the legacy when it comes down to it. What I'm interested in doing is making sure that my Senate leaves a legacy. It's not so much about the person behind the body, but it's about the body in general. So I would say, if I could create a consistent Senate or help in any way to, encourage this Senate to be consistent, with their ideas and with, what they're going to fund and what they're not going to fund, etc. I think that would be the best legacy I could leave for this school. I think it's important that we have a Senate that's, fully approachable and fully willing to do their job for the right reasons.
All right, thank you. Same question to you, Julianne. What legacy do you wish to leave behind as Vice President?
Mine is somewhat of a dual purpose. So personally, I want to leave a legacy for myself, knowing that as Vice President, I was as fiscally responsible as possible, that I worked to bridge the gap between students and Senate and ASNMSU as a whole, so that it's not so intimidating to walk into the ASNMSU office and that students aren't only going in there for scan charms. But I also want to leave ASNMSU, I hate to say better than I found it, because ASNMSU is pretty great in what we do. Obviously, there's room for improvement within every organization, but as long as I leave knowing that I improved communication between students at ASNMSU, that would be the best that I can do. I'm not looking to leave a grand legacy. I'm not looking for a statue in my honor. I'm just looking to leave knowing that I did the best that I possibly could as Vice President. Thank you.
Okay, Julianne, this next question will start off with you. What is the main reason you are running for Vice President?
I'm running for Vice President because, in all honesty, I've always been in love with student government. I was involved in high school, and then I got here to NMSU, and I realized that there was a program where I, as a freshman, could shadow all the departments of our student government, and I realized how effective it truly was and the amount of money being allocated to student organizations for funding. I wanted to be part of that, and I continually want to be part of that. My heart is 100% in ASNMSU, and as a senator, I did want to maybe take on more responsibility, which is why I'm running for Vice President, but I also wanted to stay near to Senate, which is why I chose Vice President. Thank you.
All right, Katie, same question. What is the main reason you're running for Vice President?
Yeah, so during my time as a senator, I've noticed these problems that have been recurring, in minute ways when it comes down to it, but as a whole organization, the fact that they're reappearing means that something needs to be done about them. As a senator, I have my role to advocate for bills, I have my role to advocate for students, I have my role to come to meetings and, try and create a better and more effective law book. Those are my goals as a senator. During my time in Senate, I feel like I have done these goals or accomplished these goals to the very best of my ability. But when it comes down to it, these problems are still irking me, and I don't want to leave this body that I've come to love so much without working on solving these problems. These could be solved from a vice president willing to work for you guys. I think it's important that this stuff does get done. Like I said, the paperless legislation, the roundtable discussions, and the Senate mentorship program could affect Senate in so many beneficial ways. And that's really why I'm here today. That's why I'm running for this. I really want to make ASNMSU a better place, and this is just another way to do that.
All right, thank you. This next question will go to Katie first. How will you handle conflict between senators, executive, and constituents?
So especially in the past year, we have had a problem with relationships, especially involving the executive and legislative branch. And this is always a struggle, even in our real government. There's always a struggle between Obama and Congress. What day do you not turn on your TV and see that? When it comes down to it, I want to make sure that my senators are doing their job to the T in the law book. That is my main concern. If the conflict, involves something personal, I will definitely be involved insofar as, I'm not overstepping my bounds. As vice president, I am to make sure that, meeting is going well and efficiently in Senate, and I am supposed to be, when it comes down to it, responsible for that branch of government. I would really hope that no conflicts arise, but if they do, I am completely willing to get involved and make sure that no senators are overstepping their bounds, or in the same way with the executive branch, I'm willing to defend the legislative branch when necessary. However, I don't think that's necessary. I think there's always going to be a struggle, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a problem unless personal feelings get involved, which we can't have it, let happen.
All right, thank you. Same question to you, Julianne. How will you handle conflict between senators, exec, and constituents?
I think the best way to handle any conflict is first and foremost communication. You have to assess the situation as a whole and then look at what the individual problem is. If there is an issue between a senator and an executive department, or if there's issues between senators, then you have to speak with them separately. Obviously, you want to do this in a professional manner, so if there is conflict between, let's say, two senators, then you can speak with them separately and try to understand whether the issue is a personal issue or whether it is related to Senate as a whole, so that you can resolve it in relation to Senate. Obviously, it's a case-by-case situation. No one conflict is ever going to be the same as the other, but by using communication and negotiation skills, you're able to somewhat smoothly resolve the issue so that it doesn't begin to affect Senate as a whole. Thank you.
All right. This next question will go to you as well, or to start off with. How do you plan to hold senators accountable? Okay.
In terms of holding senators accountable, I want to ensure as vice president is elected that I'm going through and I'm looking at the bills they're writing, and I'm going out there and speaking to the constituents and saying, oh, I noticed that our senators are ready to vote for you right now. How do you think that is going? Because you're never going to know how something is going without feedback. Essentially, NMSU and ASNMSU are businesses, and our student body are the customers, and I want to ensure that our customers are happy, and the only way you can do that is by going out and seeking feedback. And if you find negative feedback, then you can speak with the senators and say, our student body feels that maybe you are lacking communication, or maybe this situation could have been handled better, but feedback and communication are very, very important options for that.
All right, thank you. Same question to you, Katie. How do you plan to hold senators accountable?
So as vice president, if I were to get elected, I'm really not interested in overstepping the senators' bounds. When it comes down to it, the senators are responsible for writing their bills. They're responsible for making sure that process goes effectively. I am there to be involved if there is any sort of conflict, which I would hope there wouldn't be. However, with holding senators accountable, as per our law book, we have a point system which tries to keep senators accountable, but I would like to elaborate on this and make it more clear to the Senate body who has points and who doesn't. So the way this point system works is, if a senator misses a committee meeting or a Senate meeting and they don't send in an excuse, they get a point. If they get up to 6 points, they can be impeached on those offenses. So what I would like to see is this point system used more effectively. This past semester, a couple senators went to the bonfire around homecoming, I believe, and sent in excuses about missing for a test or something like that, and they ended up being excused for that meeting. I would hate to see that happen in my Senate. I think it's really important that senators are doing their job and specifically coming to Senate meetings. That's really important for a senator, and if they're missing every meeting, something must be done about it.
All right, thank you. Okay, Katie, this question will go to you first. Is there a way to better educate students about ASNMSU? More specifically, Senate?
Yeah, and so I've had this problem as a senator already. I talk to a lot of students and I say, oh, I'm a senator right now working for ASNMSU. And, just as Will said, they say, oh, people give out scantrons. Why do you need a senator? This is really upsetting to me. As I said, I think Senate is, at least personally, in my opinion, one of the best things in ASNMSU because we do offer all these great opportunities to students to go to these conferences or competitions that normally they may not be able to go to. I think it's really important to get out there and just advocate more for Senate. We have a sign, or had a sign in front of the old office, that showed all the different programs that ASNMSU provided, including the bill system on there, and I think that's important. As Vice President, I would work very closely with public relations as we're just getting our website up now. I think, having an effective website where students can immediately put in a request form for a bill and learn a lot more about the process would be one of the best things we could do to get students to know about our program.
All right, same question to you, Julianne. Is there a better way to educate students about ASNMSU, more specifically, Senate?
I think we need to utilize what we have. And obviously, one of the most effective forms of communication on a college campus is social media. So if we have blurbs on Instagram or Facebook about what does a senator do, and I know that may seem infantile to have maybe a cartoon version of what a senator does, but in reality, we need to make it effective and easy to understand. And right now we do have the sheet that explains the bill process, but maybe if we had a sheet that discussed the responsibilities of a senator, that we could pass out during tabling. ASNMSU recently put on the event, the Mix and Mingle with ASNMSU, and that I felt was a good event because students were able to come out and see parts of ASNMSU, but if there was a similar event specific to Senate where students could come out and meet senators and say, okay, well, I don't necessarily understand the purpose of a senator, can you explain it to me? I think that would be great. Obviously, we do want to get our faces out there. We want our students to know who we are and to know more than just the fact that we give out scamtrons at ASNMSU. That would be the best thing we could do. Thank you.
All right, as we did not have any audience-submitted questions,
Come on, guys, give us some hard ones.
we will be moving into closing statements, and just a reminder, they will go in reverse order of opening statements. So Katie will have 2 minutes to start to give your closing statements.
I only came here so I wouldn't get fined. No, I'm just kidding. But I really wanted to thank you guys for coming out to the debate, or if you're watching online. I think it's really important to know who you're voting for and why. Student government may seem like a small deal, especially vice president, as you can see, like 50% of our audience left. But when it comes down to it, the vice president's role is really important. They chair meetings where over $500,000 is allocated per year. That is a lot of money. It's important to have a leader, who knows their parliamentary procedure, who knows the law book, who knows what can be funded and what can't, and knows these processes so that, we are spending our money to the best of our ability. Senate does spend a lot of money, and, we need to have someone who's willing to represent Senate as a whole, but also, the decisions that Senate makes. Regardless of what those are, I'm always willing to stand by my Senate. ASNMSU till I die. Thank you.
All right, Julianne, you will have 2 minutes to give your closing statement.
As Katie said, thank you all for coming out today. It does mean a lot to us for you guys taking your time to come and listen to us. And like as Vice President, I do want to make sure that there's fiscal responsibility, that we're working to bridge the gap between ASNMSU and the student population as a whole. And finally, just to ensure that we're doing the best job we can do. When it comes down to it, we ourselves are students, and we can come in with grand plans, but in reality, I think everyone here has done a great job of coming in with reasonable, workable plans and goals for themselves if they are elected. So just make sure you're getting out there and voting. Obviously, both of us want your votes, but when it comes down to it, we're more concerned with the fact that you do vote. So get out there, rock the vote, and I guess we'll see you around. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Julianne, and thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you to everyone for coming to the debate, and thank you to everyone who is watching or is watching online. And we'd like to remind everyone that early voting is Thursday, March 12th, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And the election begins March 16th at 8 a.m. and then March 20th at 5 p.m. Don't forget to vote. This debate was recorded and will be posted on YouTube if you would like to share and watch it again. Thank you and have a great day.